Hey, Restoration, let me start off this morning by asking a question. Think back to this past week in all of your relationships. All of your relationships where you live, where you learn, where you work, and play. I want you to think about this. In all of those relationships, were all of them conflict free? All right, think about this past week. Were all of your relationships where you live, learn, work, and play, were they conflict free? If the answer is no, like it is for me, then you and I desperately need what Jesus came to give us, and that is peace. I want you to think about this, right? In Luke chapter 2, there's that famous verse. We read it every Christmas. I'm going to read it on Christmas Eve service, right? It says, "Glory in the highest and peace to those on earth with whom he is pleased." Two big words. Glory and peace. This past Sunday, as we were in our series entitled Wrap, we look at the idea of us having ultimate peace with God through Jesus, who came wrapped in peace to give us peace with our Heavenly Father. We also looked at the idea and the reality that we are on this side of heaven waiting either on Jesus to return or waiting for our Father to call us home, right? We're kind of stuck on this side of heaven, where there's lots of waiting in my life, lots of waiting in your life. And where we find peace is when we wait with God as opposed to waiting on God. And there's another type of peace, the peace that I just mentioned, that is part of or desired to be part of every one of our relationships on planet Earth, peace inside of relationships. But the problem with my relationships and your relationships, the reason why you said no to your relationships being conflict-free is because of glory. Ever since Genesis chapter 3, there has been a glory war going on in the hearts of every human. In my relationships where there is a lack of peace, there's a couple possibilities, but one of the three is true. Either I'm battling a glory war, the other party is battling a glory war, or we're both battling a glory war. Now, that's probably true for you too. Now imagine this. Imagine the next week, every one of your relationships, every person, every party in the relationships, what if everybody simply had one goal? I want to glorify God in the highest. I just simply want to glorify God in this moment, in this relationship, in this conversation, in this day. Could you imagine the peace that would be there if every single person simply had that one goal, to glorify God? For us to do that, we must stay connected to Jesus, abiding in him, realizing the peace that we have, and again, that purpose that we have. Hey, you'll hear that whole purpose thing again this coming Sunday as we continue our series Wrapped, and we look at Jesus being wrapped in joy. Hey, speaking of the Christmas season, just a couple things. I want to say thank you for all of you who gave, who served at the Yard Give. It was a great day of, I believe, worship, fellowship, and blessing our community. Another way that we bless our community here at Restoration is through the backpack ministry. This is something we've been doing for probably the better part of a decade now, where we tag team with the local schools. They identify kids, students who would have food insecurities, and then we come along and we buy food for the weekend, right? The school identifies the families, they let us know. We find people like you to adopt them, essentially. And all you would do is, to be part of the backpack ministry, is you would simply show the love of Christ by providing food for a family. Usually it's 4 or 5 people, usually about $30 or $40 investment, right, in terms of groceries. And then you deliver the groceries, not simply to deliver groceries, but to have an opportunity at some point, yes, every week, to show the love of Jesus, but that food become an avenue where you get to share the love of Jesus, to share the good news of Jesus. So if being part of the backpack ministry is something that you might be interested in, there's 2 families currently in need that the schools have identified that we need to find people to adopt them, to provide food for them on the weekends as a way to share and to show the love of Jesus. If you're interested in that, there'll be a link below the video to be part of that. Listen, Church, I want to see you on Sunday as we continue our series. And I also want to see you next Wednesday, Christmas Eve at the amphitheater. Festivities start at 4:30-ish. We'll start the service. And it'll be a beautiful time of worship. I want to encourage you to bring somebody with you as we continue and then ultimately wrap up this series, Wrapped. Church, I love you. Be on mission. See you on Sunday.